Okay, chapter 9. We're first going to talk about the capacity. Who has the capacity to enter into the contract? Okay. Well, now the baseball is over, the season is over. Now you can concentrate on the class. Okay. So who doesn't have the capacity to form a contract?
Minors.
Thank you. You have the knowledge right there. Yes, minors. Okay. How young are the minors?
Under 18.
Under 18. Okay. So it's a contract with a kid. So here, it's a little tiny. Well, this happens to my niece. Okay. So I think she was about 6 years old, and she was in the daycare. Okay. And then what she did is she said, "Oh yeah, I need $1." I said, "Why do you need $1? You're 6 years old, and you're in daycare, and you were traveling." So basically, she resided in Hong Kong. She was only spending the summer here. So we found a daycare to put her in. I said, "Oh yeah." She said, "I made a new friend." That's what she said. Okay. And she said, "Well, I need to give my friend a gift." I said, "Wait a minute. What kind of gift is $1?" Okay. So I turned to her friend. Her friend is not a little girl. The friend said, "Oh yeah, I gave, I think it was like a artificial flower. It's a really cheap one." Okay? So the little girl told me that she gave that flower to my niece, okay, and demand $1 as a gift back. Okay, I said, "Wait a minute, are you selling this flower to my niece?" Okay, I said, what a smart kid. But here is the problem, is this contract, so-called contract, $1 for a fake flower, is it binding for both parties?
No.
No, it is not. Okay, it is not. Okay. All right. So a minor is lack of capacity to enter into a contract. Okay? Now, let's do this. Let me give you another hypo. Barry? How old are you?
10.
Yeah.
Wait, you want a fake age for this or a real age?
Oh, it's just a fake age. Let's assume you are 18 years old
Okay.
in a week. 18 in a week, okay? So what you did is 2 weeks ago, Kevin, so you went to Kevin, okay? You told Kevin that, "Well, Kevin, I like your car. I know it's a piece of junk, but I like it. You know, I'm 18 years old. I'll just buy anything with wheels, okay? So I'm gonna buy your junk for $500, okay?" Kevin said, "Fine." Yeah. You look good enough. $500. You bought basically just a wagon on wheels from Kevin, okay? That's when you are 17 years and 51 weeks, okay? Now, 2 weeks later, 1 week after your 18th birthday, now you go back to Kevin and say, "Well, I don't want that wagon anymore. I take it back. I demand my $500 back."
Yes.
Now what? Is the contract binding?
No. As long as they back out in a reasonable time of them turning 18, they can back out of the contract.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Kevin?
Is that like the same thing as charging a minor as an adult?
No. Charging a minor as an adult is a criminal law, and not with a contract. Okay? Now, let me change that fact a little bit. I'm not going to give you an answer for now, but I'm changing the fact a little bit. Okay? So you bought the wagon at 1 week before you turned 18. Okay? And then after you turned 18, you kept using the wagon for another year. And then when you turned 19, you went back to Kevin and said, "Well, Kevin, I don't want it anymore. I know when I bought it from you, I was underage. Therefore, give me back my money." Using this hypo compared to the earlier hypo that is only 1 week passed, 18 years old, and only 2 weeks after he purchased the wagon. Is there any difference?
Yes,
What is the difference?
it's not a reasonable amount of time.
Okay. All right. What do you think? Okay. Okay. Just give me something. Okay, I want your feedback. So I want to know what your thought process is. Well, it is not going into the reasonable time. Okay, it's more of that you are receiving the benefits of this wagon. Okay, therefore you impliedly affirmed this contract after you turned 18. Okay, so you bought it at 1 week before 18 years old, 17 years and 51 weeks old. You bought it for a week, but for the next year, you spend time to enjoy, to benefit from using of the wagon, right? So you impliedly affirm this contract. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Okay. Any questions? So one, you cannot contract with a minor. And two, you cannot contract with a mentally challenged or mentally incompetent. Right. Why? Because they don't have the ability to understand the contract. Okay. Now, three. Yes.
Okay, I have a question.
Mhm.
Like Tony, and because he did not understand,
Mhm.
mentally,
Mhm.
what kind of contractor can I, like the old man, he's incompetent,
Mhm.
and all. And what kind of contractor will I do?
Well, they must, so mental
Mental
disability or
incompetent.
mental disease comes in many forms,
Yeah.
okay? Some of which will make them don't understand part of the things, and some of them will still have them to keep
Yeah,
the
they
ability to
understand
content.
some,
Okay.
but the yo-yo, they respect the whole thing. After he signed all the thing, he refused, I don't sign.
Okay, so you are
What
looking-
kind of a thing did I do? Because I probably typed everything.
So the question, do you have an answer or do you have another question?
I was gonna say,
Okay, let me repeat the question. The question is, some people that has mental problems,
Yeah.
they can be sober, they have a sound mind for a short period of time, and then they can just go bad. And then just go back good again, and then just go bad again.
Yeah.
All right, so back and forth. Okay, and your answer is?
yeah, if they do it while they don't understand or while they're not so good, during their problem states, then it's not valid.
How do you determine it? How do you determine? So if there's a problem with the contract, okay, there's a dispute about this contract. And one thing, if I'm the plaintiff, I would say, well, I didn't have the capacity when I signed the contract, okay? Or if I'm suing you, saying, then my defense will be, I'm sorry, what I'm saying, okay. Let's say here, give an example. Belinda and Tom, both of you entered into a contract, right? But Melinda has some sort of mental problems, okay? And then after the contract has been entered, she passes away. Now you are trying to enforce the contract. And then her family will say, well, she has no ability. She is not competent. She doesn't have the capacity to enter into the contract, okay? So what needs to be done? Or what can you do? What could you have done? What could have you done? What do you think?
Not sign the contract with her.
Let me give you another example here.
She has a problem.
Let me give another example here.
Valid contract.
Melinda, I'm sorry, using you again. She has mental problems, okay? And then she knew about it. The situation, the condition is not stable. So sometimes she's okay, sometimes she's not. Okay, and then she knows she has that problem, so she drafted a living trust.
Yes.
Okay, she drafted a living trust, which is a contract. Okay, so she's naming Barry to be a trustee and naming Tom as the beneficiary. Okay? Okay? So Melinda has two kids. I'm sorry, two beneficiaries. One is Tom, okay, and then one's Kevin. Okay? So in your living trust, you say, I'm leaving 90% of my assets to Tom and 10% to Kevin. That's your living trust. Okay? Now, Melinda passes away. Barry comes in as a trustee to distribute the assets in the trust. 90% goes to Tom and 10% goes to Kevin. Kevin, what would you do? I deserve 50% at least, right? We're brothers. I said I'm entitled to half. Okay? Melinda, she didn't know what she was doing. Okay? She has problems. She has mental problems. Okay? I deserve half. This is easily to be a real life situation, right? He wants more money, and then Tom, well, 90%. He's happy. He's not happy to give you another 40%. And you're not happy with 10%. So what's gonna happen? You guys go to the probate court, fighting in court. Now, how to prevent this from happening?
Prove she's incompetent.
Well, the reason you are taking this matter to the court is because you said Melinda doesn't have the capacity, right, to enter into the contract. She's mentally challenged. Okay? So how do we overcome that? The lawsuit is between you and Kevin. Okay? How do we overcome that?
Because he has no knowledge of what it is.
Hmm?
No knowledge to understand that the whole
Well, how to prevent this from happening? So Barry, if you are the attorney who drafts the contract, the living trust, what would you do?
Make them give an affirmation, I, Melissa, of sound body and able mind.
I doubt that's going to be useful because if the entire living trust is being challenged based on the capacity, they're going to challenge the affidavit based on capacity as well. You just doing this or just using it?
No, I'm saying you would take them to a doctor and have them prove that she
Exactly.
is.
You take a doctor to them either way, okay? Or you do this in a hospital,
Right.
okay? And then you get an affidavit from the doctor proving Melinda has a sound mind.
But she passed away already.
Huh?
She passed away already, you said.
Now, at the time when she created the living trust, okay? At the time of signing a living trust, and there are witnesses. Okay, there are witness requirements in California. To sign a will, to sign a power of attorney, you need to have 2 witnesses. Okay? So a doctor can be one of the witnesses. And then you have the notary. Most of the documents need to be notarized. So this is how you this is how you can make sure that Melinda has the capacity to sign the living trust. Okay? Any questions? Okay. What about intoxication? If someone's drunk, is the contract binding?
No.
Okay.
Wait, it's only enforceable.
Well, you have the.
Understood,
Well, let's go back to the mental incapacity, okay? Now, let's revisit that topic very, very briefly. So, here. Since I've been using Melinda for a while, so Melinda is mentally challenged. Okay. Now I'll say, Melinda, can I borrow a quarter? Anybody? Have a coin?
Fine.
Okay.
Quarter.
Huh?
Quarter.
Quarter is fine. Okay. Do you have a cell phone? Melinda, may I have a cell phone? Oh, could you put it on the desk, please? All right, okay, so now all the staging has been done. Okay, so remember now, Melinda is mentally challenged. Okay, so what I do is, Melinda, here, look at this shiny piece of metal, precious metal, okay, worth a lot of money. Okay, all right, so, I'll let you take it if you give me a cell phone. But this worth about, this more than 100 cell phone. The one just like you have. Okay, here, take my quarter, I'll take your cell phone. There. And then she's really happy to give me her cell phone. You don't have to pretend. Okay, so, and I'm taking the cell phone, just walked away, and she's happily with that quarter, precious quarter. Okay. Now, is this a contract?
If she agrees.
No.
Did I offer her something?
Yes, you do.
I offered her 25 cents.
22.
Did she accept?
Yes.
Yes, she accepted. Was there consideration? My consideration is 25 cents, and her consideration is this cell phone.
That's a good.
Okay? Now, we have a contract, but is the contract binding?
No.
No,
It's not valid.
Right?
It's a word.
All right? So, and therefore, she has the right to cancel the contract. Okay? She has the right to disaffirm a contract. So the people that without the capacity has the right to disaffirm the contract. Okay? So they have the right to cancel it. All right. All right, then we'll talk about the implied affirmation. Okay? So the example that Barry used the wording for another year, that's implied affirmation of the contract. Okay? You cannot later say, well, I was too young to form the contract. Too late. Too late. Okay? Okay. Now, let me see here. Now, let me see this. So Barry, 10 years old?
Yes.
Okay, you're okay, 10 years old. Now, Barry's 10 years old. And then Sharon? All right, got it. Okay. So Barry got lost in the woods. Okay? He's hungry, he's cold, okay? It's freezing. So Sharon has a little cabin. Sounds like Wizard of Oz, but okay. Sharon has a little, Sharon the wizard, the witch has a cabin in the woods. Okay? So you saw the cabin, you went over, you knock on the door and say, oh, I'm so hungry, do you have some food? Sharon says, yes, yeah, I have some food. I have some apple. As long as you pay me $500. Okay? So, Barry, do you have the money? Probably not. Okay? 10-year-old kid with $500. Okay? So Barry made a counter offer. I can pay you 50 cents. Sharon said, well, 50 cents is better than nothing, right? What's more than the apple? Non-organic. So Sharon said, fine, okay, here's the apple, give me 50 cents. Okay. Of course, Barry doesn't have 50 cents on her. Oh, yeah. So he said, well, let me write you a note. Okay? You can later come to me and I'll give you back the money, plus interest. Okay? Very smart, 10-year-old. Okay. Well, now the question is this contract binding?
No. Minors are able to void it at any time.
Okay? So, what's your explanation again? Sorry.
Because they're too young to really understand the concept of.
Oh, look, you do. You were bargaining from $500 down to 50 cents. You obviously understand the nature of the contract.
Well, minors are a special class.
Well, so you understood the contract, but because you're too young, you're a minor, so you don't have the capacity to enter into a contract. Okay? Now, but do you need to pay her the cost of the apple?
No.
If there's a witness,
Yes.
okay,
He signed the
obligated,
paperwork.
obligated to pay. Anybody, any other guess?
Actually,
Okay. Okay. Chantel, what do you think? So Barry,
Yeah.
the smart kid got the apple for free,
no,
basically? Okay. All right.
he has to repay.
Well, the key thing is, the key word here is necessity. If the things the kid acquires is necessary, okay? For example, in this case, a food, clothes that can, keep him warm in the woods, then this would be considered necessities. If it is necessary, then Barry, you are obligated to pay him back, to pay Sharon back. As materials. Okay? But this is not a contract law. Okay? This is not a contract law. There's no contract. Only because you are benefiting from this transaction. Okay? That we cannot let you unjustly enriched. Okay? So you need to pay it back. Yeah.
But if it's not a need, like, there's like a nice old man and he offers a kid an iPod in order to mow the lawn, and he takes the iPod and doesn't mow the lawn, that can't be enforced, it's not a necessity.
Yeah, it's not.
So a kid that's charming enough to get away with that, and there's nothing.
Pretty much. Right. But if I'm the old man, I'll call the police and think some kid, the damn kid, stole my iPod. Well, I just had a trial on Tuesday, and lies. Well, there's nothing to do, right? Words against word. Well, any questions so far? Okay. I'm going to tell you a case which happened a long time ago. Long time ago. So what happened was, there's a piece of land owned by, I would say, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee looks like owns a lot of land. Okay, so Mr. Lee owns a piece of real property. Okay, and Doc wanted to buy it. Okay, so Doc consistently contacted Mr. Lee, trying to buy that piece of land. But every single time, Mr. Lee said, well, this land is too special for me, too precious. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to sell it to you. So Doc doesn't give up. He's not his type of person that doesn't give up easily. Right, Doc? All right, okay. Here first. All right. So one day, Mr. Lee was having dinner and your wife and a bunch of friends at a club. Or at a, I think it was after dinner at the bar. Okay, so you guys were drinking. Okay, you guys were drinking. Well, Doc happened to be in the same bar, walked up to you, Mr. Lee, and saying, well, I really like to buy that piece of real property. Why don't you just give me a chance? Okay? This is my offer. Just give me a chance. I'll treat that real. I'll take care of that real property. You will not regret when you sell it to me. Okay? So Mr. Lee had a few drinks, a lot of drinks. Okay, and then he was whispering to his wife, okay, let's play a prank on Doc. The wife didn't respond to that, but the wife was laughing, okay, hysterically. And of course, the wife didn't say anything, but the wife understood your statement, okay? So what you did is you took out a piece of napkins. Okay, so I'll sell it to you, Doc, for this much price. Okay? And you hand it over to Doc. Now Doc get that piece of paper and then go and draft a land sales contract. A formal contract. Now, the point is, do we have a contract? Who owns the land now? Does Mr. Lee owns the land, or does Doc own the land?
It sounds like he didn't actually sign the contract though, just drafted.
No, he wrote it down, he signed his name, and the wife signs the name too. They both signed it.
But they didn't sign the formal contract.
No, but they signed on that piece of land.
Did he have capacity to understand the legal, implications?
You
of-
tell me.
Well,
That's the issue here, right? The issue is whether Mr. Lee has the capacity to enter into this contract.
I guess,
There are more smaller issues, but this is the issue, the biggest issue in this case.
it sounded like he was aware enough to understand what would happen if he really signed it, but he wanted to play the joke anyway, so
Okay.
it's fine.
Well, what about the rest of it?
I think no, because he's drunk.
He's drunk.
Yeah,
He's
so-
drunk for sure.
Yeah, so I guess the contract is not anymore on him.
So you said he does not have the capacity to enter into the contract
Yes.
because he's drunk. All right, how do you counter that?
Depends on his level of awareness while drunk. If he was aware enough to understand it, then it's.
Depending on his awareness. Sharon? What do you think? Who should win here? Barry or, I'm sorry, what's your name? No, not you. No,
Oh, this guy.
Ali.
Huh?
Ali.
Ali, okay. So, do you think Ali should win? Do you think Mr. Lee doesn't have the capacity to enter into the contract?
It was between those two.
Oh, yeah. No, but the other, who's arguing? It's between you and Barry. But Doc,
Yeah, it's a contract.
it's a contract?
He had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him.
Mhm.
He understood what I'm asking.
Mhm.
He writes it down on a piece of paper.
Mhm.
He tells his wife,
Mm-hmm.
so he's coherent and he's understanding what's happening.
And you're missing the biggest piece of the evidence.
Biggest piece, and he wrote it down.
Nope.
Napkin.
And I told him I'll come back and make a contract.
Nope. No, but Mr. Lee didn't tell Doc, Mr. Lee told his wife.
Yes.
Right, but the biggest,
So it is
the
a
biggest
contract.
evidence, it was a binding contract. But the biggest evidence here is prior to this incident, you kept coming to him and saying, I don't want to buy it. Okay, so he has a full awareness of the fact that, Doc, you are willing to pay this price for this property. Okay? So your intoxication doesn't really affect your ability to enter into this contract. Okay, so the contract is binding. So Doc gets the winning. Okay?
So he got the land.
Hmm?
He got the land.
Yeah. It was I think it's 7,800. That's not even here. I think the case was decided in England. Okay. All right. So the reason for you to defend a contract, saying, well, there's no contract, the first defense you have is incapacity, right? Okay. I'm too young to enter into a contract. I'm too stupid to enter into a contract, right? Right? I'm too drunk to enter into a contract. Basically, that's your first line of defense. Well, the second line, yes.
I was gonna say, what if you're, by mentally incompetent, what if you're just detached from reality, like, you think that, there are like pink elephants around, and you just don't really have a grounded reality that's also underneath mental incompetence, right?
Well, see, mental disease comes in many forms. Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, for one of the disease, one type of disease that you will constantly imagine, there's a body right here. You have in your mind, there's someone here. Okay. Having that person here, does it affect your ability to enter into a contract? We don't know. Okay, maybe not. Okay, so that's why both sides at this point hires medical experts to fight in the court. Okay. All right. So first line, you said there's no capacity when you enter into the contract. And then two, the second one for you to defend a contract from its formation is it does not satisfy statute of frauds. So what is a statute of fraud? Statute of fraud is a statute, okay, that's designed to prevent fraudulent claims, okay? So what it really does is asking these types of contract to be in writing. So generally, an oral contract is enforceable, okay? I can contract with Barry, okay? So here, Corey, I'm buying you your TI-84, the calculator, all right? And then he said yes, and we just exchange the goods, right, and with the money. But this is an oral contract. Okay, so over here, 25 cents to wash my car, the oral contract. But if one party decided to breach the contract, it is difficult for the other party to prove to the court that there's even an existence of the contract, because it becomes words against word. Yeah.
I was gonna say it becomes, you know, he said, she said, there's
Yeah.
no, unless there's a witness, there's no solid way.
Unless there's witness, right? And then by your conduct, maybe you imply to this contract, okay? So the law here, the statute of frauds is designed to prevent this from happening, okay? So here, you guys write it down, okay? So we have a piece of paper to show that there is a contract and then there's a terms in the contract that you have to follow, okay? Hello. Well, why don't we take a 5-minute break? Let me sit down for a bit. Okay, there are 4 types of contract that needs to be in writing. One, the promise to answer. One, promise to answer another's debt. That needs to be in writing. Okay? An oral promise does not cut it. It needs to be in writing. And 2, a service contract is not capable of being performed within a year. Okay? That's from the time of the contract. Okay? Now, for example, okay? So I want to hire Barry to wash my car. Okay? Barry, here's the contract. Okay? I want to contract with you for 3 years. Okay? Every Thursday night, I want you to wash my car for 3 years. Okay? I pay you a quarter every time to wash my car. Okay? Now, does this contract needs to be in writing? Yes?
Yes, because the term itself, the 3 years, cannot be completed in 1 year.
Yeah, it cannot be performed within 1 year, right? It's a 3-year Or if you will, this is an employment contract, okay? Yeah.
So if it's just for 1 year, you don't need a contract to sign?
Well, yes, if it's less than 1 year.
So if it's less 1 year, you don't need it?
Yeah. No, you need one, you don't need, the contract itself does not need to be in writing,
No.
okay? You still have a contract,
But like.
but it's gonna be an oral contract.
Oh,
Now, what about here? We're gonna sign a contract for you to wash my car for the next 3 years, every Thursday, okay? All right. 3 weeks later, I'm going to fire Barry because he does a lousy job, okay? After he washes my car, the car is even more dirtier, okay? So I fire Barry. Okay? So now, is this contract within the scope of statute of frauds? In other words, does it need to be in writing?
I think since it was already agreed to, it had to have been in writing to begin with, so
Okay?
you can't really unmake it into a verbal contract.
Okay. Well, but it didn't go more than a year ago.
But wasn't the contract agreed to those 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
So it was already done. When the contract was made, are you saying it was verbal or are you saying it was written?
It was written.
So does it, so I mean, why would you need to make it again if it's already been made?
Okay. Well, true. The contract itself is written, it's in writing already. So, that's a good point. Okay. I think, well, is there any better way to do this? So if the case is at court, okay? All right, so this is the case. So we have a contract for you to wash my car for 3 years, okay? And later you were being fired, okay? Okay? Now, I filed a motion in the court, okay, to dismiss based on statute of fraud. Where am I going with this? Okay. Well, anyways. But let me change the fact a little bit. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Now, if I hire Barry as a general contractor, okay? I hire you as a, well, I use you enough. She? Okay. She is a general contractor, so I hire her to build me a house. Okay? She's gonna build me a house. Okay? So in the contract says we're gonna start in November 1st. Okay? And the contract says, well, this is the terms of the contract. And it said the house should be delivered to me in December 1st, 2015. I'm building a mansion. Okay? So it's going to take more than a year to perform. Right? So in the contract, it's dictated the contract date when I sign the contract, November 1st. And when you deliver the house to me, will be the keys to my house, will be December 1st. Now, doesn't this contract needs to be in writing?
Yes.
Yes? Okay? All right, good. What about the same contract? We signed the contract on November the 1st, and I said, you, Chi, do me an house. Okay, here's the drawing, here's the planning. Go ahead and do it. Build me that house. Okay? This contract needs to be in writing.
Yes, because the service of building a house is generally considered to be something that takes longer than a year, especially if it, as you said, it's a mansion,
Okay?
or if it's just a sidewalk at Caltrans building.
Okay. Any other comments?
Because it's longer than 1 year, so you need a contract.
Well, we don't know if it will take more than a year.
You said that you have to receive it at least
Okay, in
December.
my previous hypo, what I gave it to you is, the term is specified here, right? So you have more than a year to perform. So this contract needs to be in writing. Okay? Now, if I take this one out, so the term is not specified. So the contract are based on the task. Okay? So your job is to build me that house. Okay? It will probably take a year. It'll be more than a year, it could be less than a year. Right? And this type of contract does not need to be in writing. Okay? If it's task and it says nothing about the time, the statute of frauds does not apply.
So even if they ask them to build a Hoover Dam or something, they still, it still doesn't have to be in writing? It still could be very easily argued?
Well, the thing is, you'll be stupid if you don't put in a time frame. What if they spend 200 years building that,
Okay.
right? You want to put a deadline to a big project like that.
But
How long did it take how long did it take to build Hoover Dam?
3 years,
3 years?
you don't see that much anymore in public works. I made the Caltrans joke because sometimes they take, 8 years to build like an overpass.
No comments.
No comments.
Yeah, so- Okay. All right, now. Barry, how old are you?
Hmm?
How old are you?
23.
23, okay. So I'm going to hire Barry. I'm going to give him a life tenure, okay? I'm going to hire you to wash my car for the rest of your life, okay? All right. First year will be 25 cents a car. Second year will be 26 cents. And for every year, I can add another cent per car. Okay? So I'm going to hire Barry for life, okay? I'm going to hire you for the rest of your life to wash my car. Does this contract needs to be in writing? Or in other words, does statute of frauds applies?
Yes,
Yes?
because you're at 1 cent every year. And if it's longer than 1 year, you need a contract signed.
Yeah, but he also might die before the year's over, so.
You see the problem? Just in case something happens to Barry within the first year. So a life contract doesn't need to be in writing, okay? Even though he's only 23 years old, okay? He has many years to live, but just in case he doesn't. So a life contract does not need to be in writing, or it doesn't fall under the statute of frauds. Okay? 3, transfer of the real property must be in writing. So if I contract with Chi to build me a house, is it within the statute of fraud? If I hire Chi to build me a house, is this contract within the statute of frauds.
Oh, if the active building is, it's just a structure at that point, it doesn't actually become property until she's finished, so.
Isn't the land the real estate?
Well, land is real property, the house itself is real property.
Oh,
both the both
yes,
are.
yeah.
So you think, if a contract with Chi to build me a house, yes, within the statute of frauds, I should be in writing.
Yeah.
So you shake your head.
Because they're not selling it,
Hmm?
because they're not really selling it or paying it.
Okay. So the word here is
Transfer.
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 Okay. So if I ask Chi to build me a house, okay, are we transferring this piece of real property?
No, she
No.
transferred.
I was gonna say, she's transferring the labor and the materials, and that becomes real property.
So when we do this, we transfer the interest of the real property. Right. It's not a labor.
Well, the materials together form the property,
No.
but it's always been yours, even throughout the process, right? So it's not.
Well, see, the thing is, it's never the title or the interest of the real property that got transferred. Okay. I hired her for her labor. Okay. Now, so if I contract with Barry to sell me the building that she just built, okay? I'm going to sell that building. Is this contract under statute of frauds? Yes, right? Okay. So the contract says, I'm going to sell you my building. Okay, so there's a transfer of the real property. Okay. What about there's an option to sell the house? Or there's an option to sell the house? Okay? I taught you the option contract before. Okay? An option contract is a contract as long as there's a small consideration. Okay? Now, an option to sell it to you is that contract under statute of frauds. Yes? Okay. Yeah, it is, because it is also related to the transfer of the real property. Okay? Now, I own the building, right? She built the building for me. Now Barry sues me. Barry says, well, you said you agreed to lease this building to me for a year. Okay? Is this within the statute of frauds?
I don't think you really own the actual property, though. You're owning the right to use the property.
No, I own the property.
Oh, I know, but the leasee has the right to use it, so there's no real transfer of the actual property itself.
Okay. Yeah, good. Okay. So there's no real transfer of the interest of the real property. Okay. What about, let me twist the facts a little bit, okay? Now he claims that he's going to lease the property for 2 years. Is this contract within the statute of frauds? I own the building, and he says, I agreed to lease the building to him for 2 years. Is this within the statute of frauds? And when I say it's within the statute of frauds, it means if there's no writing, there's no contract. Okay, that's what it means. Now Barry says, well, I'm going to sue you because you promised, you agreed to lease me the building for 2 years. What's your contract? There's no writing.
It's not a service. No, I don't think it needs to be in writing.
Why not?
It's not a service, it's a transfer.
Lease agreement is a service agreement.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, then yes.
Okay, so yes, it needs to be in writing because it's more than a year.
How does it go with the service agreement, just curious? How's the service?
Well, we have two contracts. Remember at the very beginning of the contract, we have sale of goods, then we have service contract.
Okay, I remember that.
Okay, sale of goods and everything else, basically. All right. And then fourth, the sale of goods more than $500 or more, actually, as greater or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Okay? Any questions so far for the statute of frauds? Okay. Yeah.
So if there's no time limit placed, it doesn't need to be in writing.
There's no one?
Time limit for the service contract.
No, no. If it's task-oriented contract, then it does not need to be in writing. Okay? So if I have a contract with you, Barry, and I said, here, I name you the Duke of Mexico. Okay? And what you do is you go conquer Mexico and come back, give me the country. Okay? Will probably take you more than a year to perform, and that does not need to be invited or under the statute of fraud. There are some other statutes will require the contract to be invited. Okay? One of the big ones will be in family law. Okay? If you agreed, who's here married? Anybody married in this class? Okay.
Who makes more money?
You or your wife?
My wife does.
Okay. So, well, because the wife makes more money, and
That's why I'm gonna stay with her.
fair enough. All right, okay. So Doc's wife, Mrs. Doc, makes more money. Okay, good. I like that. Right. But no, she loves him very much, and then she thinks that well.
I love her too.
Yes, yes. For the record,
For the money.
Mr. and Mrs. Doc loves each other very much. For the record.
For the record.
It's on YouTube and you can replay it to your wife. Okay. Over and over and over. Okay. But because they love each other so much, okay, and then I will assume that Mrs. Doc from a very wealthy family. I'm just gonna assume that, okay? So she inherited a lot of assets from her side of the family.
happening in my family.
All right, okay. I'm just assuming that, okay. All right. Now, because those inheritance and the gifts are separate property, okay? They are not community property, okay? Okay, community property is the assets that you gain after you get married. Then everything becomes community property. But anything that was given to you, anything that was inherited to you, or you inherit something, or anything that was gifted to you, those are separate properties. Okay? But because the wife, okay, Mrs. Dog loves Mr. Dog very much, so she says, well, I want you to have half of what I have. Okay? I want to convert my separate property into community property. Okay? Well, you like that, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, to do this, you need to have an agreement. That's what we call the transmutation agreement. So you transmutate you change the character of the property from separate property into community property. So this is what we call a process of transmutation. So transmutation agreement needs to be in writing.
Transportation.
Transmutation.
Transmutation.
You're making notes. Off the record, off the record,
She needs
off
to
the
do a
record.
transmutation.
Transmutation agreement. So that happens a lot when if there's a house, okay? If there's a house, for any purpose that we are taking this house from under hospital, both husband and wife, that's community and community property. And then it would say that the wife wants to give her half of the house to the husband. So what I do is we do interspousal transfer deed, okay? Interspousal transfer deed. Interspousal transfer deed. And then you back that up with the transplantation agreement, okay? Yeah.
So, you know, a wife that divorces, you can't steal your inherited property as long as you don't do that?
Yeah, because, well, that becomes a little bit more complicated than that. First, when you file a divorce, okay, separate property remains untouched. What's yours is yours, what's mine is mine, okay? But you're gonna look into the income that's generated by these assets. And what did you do with those income?
So if we divorce, she would have to pay me alimony, correct?
That's correct. That's the second thing. So we'll leave the separate property out, and then we'll look at the community property. Community property is divided 50%, okay? That's community property. And then you look into who makes more money. The party who makes more money is going to pay the party who makes less money spousal support, alimony.
How's that calculated?
There's a program. The court has a program. You plug in the numbers. You plug in how much you make and how much your monthly expenses is, how many expenses are, mortgage, car payments, how much you eat, spend on clothing, everything.
And lifestyle too, right?
Right? So the thing is, the thing about the alimony is the court wants the party who makes less money to be able to maintain his or her lifestyle as if they are still married.
Yeah.
I need to turn the camera around and just videotape you.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, okay.
So marry rich, right?
Very rich, yeah. Okay. Well, then it comes into a problem with prenuptial agreement. Okay? Prenup. Okay? Prenup is widely unpopular in Chinese community. Okay? So,
Why is that?
because they think if you love someone, why did you plan divorce ahead of time?
So did you have a nuptial?
No. Oh, but I married rich, so.
Oh, so, all right.
Okay, so prenuptial agreement again needs to be in writing. There's more conditions to prenups. So there is a cooling period, okay? So once I drafted, my lawyer drafted, I give it to my wife, to my fiance in this case, then she has 7 days to review, okay? And then if she doesn't need that time, she must actively waive that cooling period and writing and notarization, everything, yeah.
Don't those expire eventually? Don't, prenuptial agreements?
So when we do a prenuptial agreement, we put in a time when it expires. Usually I put in 90 years.
How many?
90.
90 years?
But some, I know there's some that aren't quite as long as that, and then they just, some of the more gold digging people wait for it.
It's a technicality. So sometimes the law it disfavors perpetual contracts. Okay? So you cannot have a contract that goes forever, so you put an expiration date.
So you could do like 500 years or some insane number that you won't
Well,
live.
90 years is good enough.
What if you live to be like
You 23, you
120?
marry someone next year, 24. 90 years later, you'll be 114.
What
Okay?
if there is
And then if you still want to
technology?
get if you still want to get a divorce at 114, go ahead.
Does having an affair affect the divorce?
No,
And alimony?
not in California.
What state?
I don't know. I only practice law in California.
What's that?
I only practice law in California and federal courts. I don't know.
So none of that has, having an affair doesn't affect anything in the court?
I know Texas maybe. Yeah, in Texas maybe. Okay, so these are just basic statute clause. There are other contracts under different statutes has that writing written requirement. The contract must be in writing. Okay, questions? When you buy a car, do you need to sign it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sign a sales contract. Okay, and it's required. Not only residential property, there's a state law that requires you to sign a contract. Yeah.
Is a receipt considered a contract?
Receipt, okay. I will say maybe, depending how detailed the receipt is. Okay. So I am having a case in Oakland right now. So it's it was a meat wholesaler is being sued by a food distributor. So the food distributor basically buys meat from this company, and then they sell it to the restaurants. So they pay them money, but some of the goods were never delivered. Okay, around $70,000–$80,000. Okay, there was never a contract. Okay, and this happened, and I'm not sure about the other states, but in California, this is how they operate for Chinese restaurants, and those are Chinese companies. Okay, there's never a contract. Okay, so what they do is, well, I need this, I call you up, and you deliver it. I'll give you a purchase order. Okay, purchase order itself is not a contract. But what we say is, well, we're going to use it to show a clear intent of the contract. So even though there's a statute of fraud that bars, okay, that bars the contract to the sales of goods that's more than $500 or more. But we can always have a backup legal theory. It's what I call the unjust enrichment. Okay? And then this is the theory, also called under quasi-contract. Quasi-contract is not a real contract. Okay? Unjust enrichment. So, well, basically, I give you money, then you give me the goods. Okay? You unjustly enriched yourself at my detriment. So this is another fallback theory for you to sue for breach of contract. So in the complaint, we're going to list everything. When there's breach of contract, assuming there's one, then we're going to sue under breach of contract. The unjust enrichment. Okay? Unjust enrichment, there's another fancy word for it. I can't think of it later. Okay, any questions? Okay. All right. Well, another reason for not to enforce an agreement is illegality. Okay. So it comes in two forms. One, it is an illegal subject matter, or you can have an illegal purpose. Okay? So if the subject matter of the contract or this agreement is illegal, and then the agreement is not enforceable. Okay? Okay? So Tom always asks me questions. I don't like that. Okay? So I come to Barry and says, here's a quarter, here's a quarter, okay? Why don't you push Tom onto the floor in the bathroom, okay? And it's slippery, and nobody can see it, okay? All right. So if Barry takes my money, was there an offer? I offer you 25 cents to hurt Tom in the bathroom, right? Did you accept it? If he takes the quarter, you accept it, okay? All right, and then he says, I accept, okay? Consideration, yeah, his labor versus this quarter here, okay? But is this contract enforceable? Why not?
It was legal, somewhat.
Yeah, because the subject matter of this contract is illegal, right? I cannot hire a hitman to kill someone or to hurt someone. Okay? Okay, but what about the subject matter is legal? what about the subject matter is legal? But the defendant has an illegal purpose of this contract. Okay? But the plaintiff has no idea of this illegal purpose. Is this contract enforceable? Okay? So there's a contract. Okay? The contract has a illegal purpose. Okay? All right. But the plaintiff doesn't know. Doesn't know this illegal purpose. Is this contract enforceable?
No.
Right?
Yeah, no.
Okay. It's hard to think about this question here like this, but let me give an example here. Okay? So, this is United Airlines right here. United Airlines, okay? And Kevin looks like a human. Okay. So Kevin just received an order to kill someone down in LA for $50,000. Okay? So what you do is you go to United Airlines to buy a ticket to fly down to the LA to kill someone. So the contract between you and United Airlines, you pay the airfare and they fly you down to LA, is for the illegal purpose of you killing someone down in LA.
He doesn't know what's he doing.
Well, he has no idea, right? United doesn't know, right? United Airlines doesn't know.
Yeah.
No idea. Okay? Now, the question is the contract between Kevin and United Airlines enforceable?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is enforceable?
He's
No.
not aware of,
Yes,
consequences.
all he knows is someone was buying an air ticket. I'm selling you a service that fly you down to LA. That's what he does.
That person can't sue for not doing it
Okay?
in court.
Well, just in case they're suing for this, but can we invalidate this contract? Is this contract enforceable? And the answer is yes. This contract between Kevin, the human, and the airline, this contract is valid. Okay? Whoever contract you to kill someone, that's not valid. Okay? You can take the money and run. Okay.
Sounds like a good job.
Oh yeah, there'll be other name that come up for you. Yeah.
What if someone wrote up a contract to drive, to pay for someone's bus ticket to Nevada, where she agreed to make money back for him as one of the legal prostitutes? Would that be illegal if it was written up in California?
Wait a minute.
So the act of being an illegal prostitute, like he gets to cut up her share of being a prostitute, but it's illegal in Nevada, but it's illegal here. Would he still be able to be paid for her labor, even though it's illegal in California?
I don't know. First of all, I don't know whether prostitution is legal in Nevada.
Yeah.
In cat houses,
Yeah.
Not street prostitute, but cat houses.
That's
Yeah.
right, that you can do, that's what I thought, okay. Well, then that might be okay. I don't know. Show me a case. I don't know. A lot of times I don't have the solutions.
Yes, I do have a question. What if there's a high potential that could be used? Let's say you're a farmer who grows a Fed rep for a pharmaceutical company, and you accidentally form a contract with somebody's going to make crystal meth.
So let me trench the facts. Okay, let me give another example. So, any of you have ever planted marijuana before? Don't say it because you're on the camera. Okay. Okay. I assume you have now. Okay. So to grow pots, what's the first thing you need?
A license or a permission from the state.
To grow pots illegally, what's the
Oh,
first
you
thing?
need seeds.
Still on.
Huh?
Still on.
It's okay. I'm not planning it. So I know it because I have some cases like that. So okay. To grow illegally, grow pots, what's the first thing that you need? What's the essential
A pot,
thing you need?
You need seeds.
Oh, we have
artificial
seed,
light,
okay, oh, cool. What's the second thing?
Dirt,
artificial light,
dirt.
You're just messing with me.
artificial light, you know.
Lights, okay? Lights, heat, okay? Marijuana needs a lot of heat, okay? Okay? So how do you generate the heat?
Lamps, lamps.
Grow lights.
Okay? Lights, okay? And then the house will be trapped a lot of heat, okay? So what's the problem if you do that?
Too much energy use.
It might burn
And
down
then
the
what?
house. Or too much energy use actually attracts authorities because they suspect.
Exactly. All right, PGA is going to report to the authority. Okay, what they do is they probably surveil your house to see if it's really hot in the house. If they do, they have a proper cause to come into your house. Yeah.
What if you're just dumb and you have a ton of appliances and like other like TV equipment there and it just overheats all the time because you have like so many surge protectors like in every single plug. Would they just come in there, see that there's nothing wrong and leave, or?
Well, it doesn't rise to that level of the electricity needs for growing plants. Okay, because you don't turn that on 24/7. And then the thing is here is now. So how do you overcome that problem if you are the criminals?
Hide it.
Well, you can't hide it because it's
What is outside?
PG&E. PG&E
Solar
has
power.
the electricity bills.
Use a generator.
Huh?
Generator.
Solar.
Generator is not powerful enough.
What
You
is
could, they
outside?
have a few ones. Huh?
Take electricity from your neighbor.
Well, and the neighborhood will find out in a month, right?
Solar power?
What is
You're not
outside?
gonna invest that much money into power growing, trust me. What about, what else?
What is outside in the sun?
Huh?
Outside, outdoor.
We know Ali never planted pots before.
You don't want to cross pollinate.
No, what about, how tall do you wanna build your fence?
It is storage.